A Silent Voice is a masterful anime movie, and in my eyes, it's about as close to a perfect movie I've seen. A Silent Voice, directed by Naoko Yamada, follows the life of Nishimiya and Ishida as they deal with bullying, self-hatred, suicide, social anxiety, and so much more. So today we'll be breaking down why the movie was so successful, how it was accomplished, and what truly impressed me the most. This is Manime Matt, and this is why A Silent Voice works. So why was this movie so successful? Well, there are many aspects to it, but let's focus on the three main features: cinematography, characters, and the directing. The directing done by Naoko Yamada is incredible. The pacing out of scenes is handled with care and an acute attention to detail, while also balancing two stories. The characters in the anime are also well balanced. They manage to have each character feel unique, but at the same time have some relatability. A quick example being Mashiba, who is a unique character, but also kind of there as the outsider character we can relate with. And thirdly, the cinematography. I actually made a whole video on why I love cinematography, and I briefly covered this anime and stated that I think this movie may have the best cinematography in anime, and I still stand by that opinion. The cinematography is gorgeous and packed with so much meaning. Either way, we'll talk about that in more detail later in the video. How was it accomplished? Well, let's start with the directing. The director's main task is to translate the manga's pacing from book to film. The pacing of the book is purely subjective and depends on how fast the reader is, but when being translated into film, the pacing becomes objective. It's a director's job to decipher exactly how long they should hold on to every shot, letting the audience soak in the meaning. Naoka is clearly a master of this, often holding these long takes with heavy meaning, but also not being afraid of using quick shots of certain scenes to help portray further meaning. Another aspect of how the directing was top-notch was in how she managed the storyline itself. For those of you who were particularly attentive, you probably noticed the movie is comprised of two separate stories: Ishida's and Nishimiya's. Although the stories are interlaced together, it's the internal struggle of self-hatred that both characters seem to experience alone. Thus, Naoko manages to connect the two together when in their own minds they believe that they are alone, thus letting us predict the path that Nishimiya will choose through Ishida's previous experiences. This is some pretty thick stuff, but a sure sign of incredible writing that we have to credit Yoshida Oima, the original writer, also. Now, let's talk about the characters in the movie. A Silent Voice focuses on about 7 characters who all add a unique dynamic to the plot. Each character has individual quirks that makes them unique, but at the same time they are somewhat tropish, falling into categories such as best friend, pretty girl, mean girl, tomboy, etc. These characters are incredibly well balanced between both stereotypical characters and unique characters, which ends up bringing the best of both worlds to these characters. They are unique and we tie strong emotions to these characters, but they are also generic in some senses, making them remind us of ourselves or even someone we know. This is some really unusual stuff, but they managed to pull it off very well. Now, time to talk about what truly impressed me the most, and that is obviously the cinematography. The cinematography of A Silent Voice is the best I've seen in modern anime. Naoko uses the cinematography to help put us in the position of our main character, who is suffering heavily from social anxiety. She does this through multiple tricks, one of them being the famous X's on people's faces. These X's were a really risky gamble, considering just how unusual they are, but they pay off well in the end. These X's cover anyone's faces that our main character doesn't consider a friend. Only once the X is removed is the audience alerted that the main character is accepting of them. This is quite an unusual take to help portray social anxiety, but it's incredibly effective, helping us understand what exactly our main character sees in his own mind. Another strategy our director uses to help show us our main character's mental state is by pointing the camera at characters' feet. Ishida has trouble looking people in the face, so what's a better way to show it than showing us exactly what Ishida is always seeing? As a matter of fact, I think one of the best uses of this in the anime is the scene where Yuzuru is walking in the rain barefoot and Ishida comes up behind her and gives her his old shoes. This scene is incredibly subtle, but marks a change in Yuzuru's thinking about Ishida, showing that Ishida really has changed. Either way, the movie is just incredible, and if you haven't watched it, please fix that. This movie just, oh god, it just toys with your heart. If you guys like this content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I upload anime-related content weekly. Also, I cannot believe we're almost at 10,000 subs. I honestly have no clue as to what to do for celebration, so if you guys have any ideas, please let me know down in the comments. Anyway, make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys say man and go watch that goddamned anime.